Sometimes the hardest disappointment isn't discovering who someone is. It's realizing they may have been showing you for a long time, and you kept explaining it away. You noticed the inconsistency. You felt the disrespect. You watched promises change, but the behavior stay the same. Yet part of you kept thinking, maybe this time will be different. If you've ever wondered why you keep trusting people who already showed you, it doesn't necessarily mean you're weak or foolish. Often, you're not struggling to see the evidence. You're struggling to accept what the evidence means. And that difference matters. Think about someone you trusted in your personal life, at work, or anywhere you expected basic honesty and respect. Maybe they disappointed you. Then they apologized. You gave them another chance. And for a while things improved. But eventually the same pattern returned. Have you ever caught yourself thinking this way? They know they hurt me. Surely they won't do it again. That thought comes from something good, your willingness to believe people can grow. And people absolutely can change. But believing in someone's capacity to change is not the same as pretending change has already happened. That's where many people get trapped. We start trusting intentions more than patterns. We remember the apology more clearly than the repeated behavior. We focus on who someone could become instead of calmly observing who they consistently choose to be. And sometimes we explain away what hurts because accepting it would force us to make a difficult decision. Maybe you would have to create distance. Maybe you would have to set a boundary. Maybe you would have to stop depending on someone at work who repeatedly fails to follow through. Maybe you would simply have to accept that the trust you offered is no longer supported by their actions. This is one reason why you keep trusting people who already showed you. Hope can make isolated good moments feel more important than repeated evidence. But healthy trust needs more than hope. It needs consistency. Patience does not mean ignoring patterns. Forgiveness does not require giving someone unlimited access to disappoint you again. And humility doesn't mean doubting your own judgment every time someone gives you another explanation. You can wish someone well and still adjust how much you rely on them. You can forgive without pretending nothing happened. And you can remain kind without abandoning self-respect. That isn't bitterness. That's emotional maturity. Here's the deeper part. Sometimes we keep trusting because accepting reality would create a different kind of pain. If you admit that someone has repeatedly shown you they cannot be trusted in a certain way, you may also have to admit that your expectations were misplaced. That can hurt your pride, can create self-doubt. How did I miss this? Why did I keep giving chances? Why didn't I listen to myself earlier? Do you ever wonder why this keeps happening to you? Sometimes the answer isn't that you failed to notice. You noticed. You just weren't ready for the emotional cost of believing what you saw. Because acceptance can mean grieving an expectation. Not necessarily losing a person, but losing the version of the relationship, friendship, partnership, or working relationship you thought was possible. And emotional healing begins when you stop arguing with repeated evidence. That doesn't mean becoming suspicious of everyone. One painful experience should not turn into a belief that nobody deserves trust. That only allows an old wound to control new relationships. Instead, learn to make trust proportionate. Let people earn deeper trust through repeated honesty. Notice whether their actions become more consistent after mistakes. Pay attention to accountability, not just apologies. Watch what happens when keeping their word becomes inconvenient. And most importantly, stop treating boundaries as punishment. A boundary can simply mean, I understand what you've shown me, so I'm adjusting my expectations accordingly. There is peace in that. You no longer need to overthink every interaction. You don't have to constantly search for hidden meanings. You don't have to prove that someone is a bad person before protecting your emotional well-being. People can have good qualities and still be unreliable in certain areas. Someone can deserve basic dignity while no longer deserving the same level of trust. Holding those two truths together is maturity. Your goal isn't to become harder. It's to become clearer. So if you're asking why you keep trusting people who already showed you, remember this. The answer may not be that you can't recognize warning signs. You may simply be giving hope more authority than evidence. Let experience teach you without making you cynical. Let forgiveness free your heart without erasing the lesson. Let patience keep you calm without turning into endless tolerance of the same harmful pattern. And practice gratitude for the clarity you have now, even if you wish you had seen things differently before. You don't need to punish yourself for giving someone another chance. But once a pattern becomes clear, you do have a responsibility to respond wisely. Protecting your inner peace doesn't require anger. Sometimes it simply requires accepting what has already been shown. Trust carefully, forgive sincerely, keep your dignity, and leave room for people to prove genuine change through what they consistently do, not merely what you hope they will become. Share your thoughts below. How are you healing today? May every difficult lesson leave you wiser without making you colder, more discerning without becoming suspicious, and strong enough to carry both compassion and self-respect.